morning, family, and welcome to Sweeties Creek Farm. It's still winter, and Stephen and I have been neglecting this area for various reasons, and one I'll give you a bit of an update in a moment. But as you can see, this is our high tunnel, and there's a lot of weeds and there's a lot of grass, and it's getting very, very tall. So today what we're going to do is we're just going to spend some time to do some mowing and some weeding and everything, and get this back into shape so we can start planning for our spring summer garden. So this is not going to be a quick task, but it's one that's necessary. Now, we're not going to hoe these beds. We're no till here, and we don't want to disturb all the seeds and everything and bring them back up, so we're going to do this all by hand. I am going to get our mower out, which I really enjoy using because it's a zero turn, so it's quite fun. So we're going to also do the orchard and mow that, but the chickens have been on that, so they've kept the grass down. We haven't had any crops in any of our garden since March, and the reason for that is I had surgery on my arm and I wasn't able to actually get the plants in, and we picked our battles with me being unable to do a lot of stuff and Stephen being the only one around who could look after the cows and the chickens and the house and everything else that comes with that. I couldn't actually do it. So it's been 3 months since the surgery, so I thought I'd give you a bit of an update, and as you can see, I'm going to get out in the garden today, so I'm really looking forward to that. So the hand is doing okay, and as you can see up here, that is where the surgery was, and I'm glad that the scar isn't as big as what I was told. He did manage to actually do some surgery down here, but went through under the skin instead of cutting it. Now, 3 months isn't great, but I did actually have an infection in my hand which set us back about a month. So unfortunately my body didn't respond very well to the dissolvable stitches, and I was fighting an infection. So that's the update. So time to get some gloves on, get some shovels, and get stuck into this garden. But first of all, I'm going to get the mower so we can see where the actual gardens are.
Just thought I'd take the opportunity to stop because my thread on my what we in Australia call a whip snipper has broken off, so I've just got to open up the head and get it sorted. This is a new addition, or newish addition to the farm we bought a little while ago. I've owned a lot of brush cutters or whippersnippers or whatever you want to call them. This one is by far the best one I've ever owned. So this is a Stihl 2-stroke, part of the brush cutter series, and I absolutely love it. It's got the handles. As I said, I've got a harness that it sits on. As you can see, it's really nice and easy to swing. There's really no weight, very little strain on the back, makes it so much easier. The engine is really powerful. It certainly goes and cuts through everything that I want to. We've actually got a couple of extra attachments. You can put small sapling cutting attachments on, brush cutting attachments, and yeah, it's really good. What I was really impressed about it today was this has been sitting in the garage for probably a good better part of 6 months, and we haven't actually fired it up. I topped up the fuel, gave it a couple of pumps, put on the choke, 2 pulls, and off it went. They just start. They're like Honda engines. They just go first time every time. Really reliable, really dependable. If you're in the market for a new brush cutter or a whippersnipper, then you really have to consider the Stihl range. I think they're absolutely sensational, and would highly recommend them. But anyway, I've got to get the thread sorted out because I've only got one bit sticking out, so I don't know if I need to get more out. You might notice as well when I was using it too, it's got the bump and feed system. So you basically load up the spool, and as it's going you just bump it on the ground and more thread comes out, which means you don't have to be stopping and starting. You can load up a whole heap of thread in there and really get through it. So yeah, that's a must. It's just making life so much easier. Okay, anyway, I better get this sorted out and keep going.
As you can see behind me, we did get a lot of the mowing done, and also a lot of the edges cut down. Over here we got all the pathways cleaned up, and we're still doing some work in the garden beds to get all the weeds out. We had a lot more planned that we were wanting to do, but unfortunately, you know what they say about plans, and ours did not go according to plan. Yesterday I had to take my mother to hospital in an ambulance. She had a bit of a fall. So yesterday I spent all day at the emergency department with my mum. We had to take her by ambulance to the hospital, and we were there for about 8 hours before she was actually admitted. And on the way home, at about 8 p.m, it was very dark, and this happened. Now, Australia is a great place to live, but one of the things you do have to be really, really careful of is the wildlife. And unfortunately, I had a wallaby, which is slightly smaller than a kangaroo, jump out onto the road in front of me, and it was so quick I didn't have time to stop. Now, unfortunately, I did hit this wallaby hard. I was doing about 70 kilometres, which was actually 30 under the speed limit, but it was really dark, and I drive really carefully at night, and I just didn't see this little wallaby, and she's come out and I have hit her, and as you can see there's quite a lot of damage. And unfortunately, when Stephen came to have a look also, there was a little baby in her pouch. It was only about 4 weeks old, so what we call a little pinky and unviable. So unfortunately, I did kill the animal. That's what got me the most. I hate doing that, but there was absolutely no time to stop and nowhere to swerve to avoid this animal. It just happened very, very quickly. Wallabies are really, really dark, and it was very dark where I was, and I just didn't see it. So unfortunately, all our plans that we had of getting this garden done were put aside. I'm now having to deal with insurance. And unfortunately, I've just been told, I'm filming this in the middle of July, I won't be getting my car back until at least October, if not longer, because of the supply chain issues and just everyone being very, very busy trying to catch up with everything. So have to organise some more transport, and we'll see how you go. But good news is, Mama's on her way home. and she hasn't broken anything. They were concerned she may have broken some ribs, but she's all good. Next time she'll watch where she's walking, fingers crossed, and won't be doing silly things like walking across freshly laid turf with rakes everywhere. So hope you've enjoyed this, guys. Sorry it was so brief and it was cut short, but I just wanted to get this out, and hopefully on the next one you'll see that this is all finished, and we might even do a bit of a garden tour because I do have some things planted, but not a great deal. Thanks, guys, and we'll see you on the next one.